Hello, welcome to a very special edition of Shoot the Defense. I'm your host, Stel, and my co-host, as ever, is Steve Eyre. Welcome back, Steve. How you doing?
Evening, Stel. I'm fine. Are you okay?
Yeah, all good, mate. I'd just like to say well done on the appearance with three midfield. Really enjoyed that interview. Really good.
I
In fact,
really
I learned
enjoyed
stuff
it.
about you that I didn't even know.
Well, the lads were great, and obviously they made me feel at home straight away. And it was a passion of mine to talk about my time at Manchester City and all the good lads and good players and good staff that I worked with. So it went quickly. Something that I really enjoyed, and I've already been watching their podcast, but I will continue to do so. I thought they were terrific.
Fantastic, mate. Well done. I was really impressed by it.
Thank you, mate.
Wonderful. Right, our guest on this edition is none other than FC Nordsjaelland head coach Flemming Pedersen. Flemming, welcome to the podcast. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you. And thank you for inviting me.
Hey, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. We've been working around our hours and working around our time to try and get you on, and we finally found the date, and here you are. And I'm really looking forward to this one because you've got a lot of knowledge in coaching, as does Steve, and I'm pretty sure this would be a fantastic episode for everyone in general to listen to.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Right. Let's start off with the beginning. Your football career, as far as I'm aware, you played round about up until the under 18 age group, and then you kind of quit the game because you felt that maybe your development wasn't as good as you wanted it to be to play professional level. Is that correct?
Yeah, I found out that my body I could not make my body do what my brain wanted. And for me, it's either you're in 100% or not. So I decided when I was 18, I played in the best under 18 league in Denmark. So it was a high level, but couldn't make it into the professional game and for men's football. And then I decided to be a coach.
Excellent. And as far as I'm aware, you coached at your brother's team. I think you coached with the assistant manager at the time. Is that correct? So you were like 18, 19 years old?
Yeah, I was 18 and very, very lucky. Started as an assistant coach for under 12 team, a very, very good team, one of the best in Denmark. But even though it was in an amateur club, but was very lucky to start with some great players in that age group. And the year after, I took over the team myself.
Great stuff. And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember listening to the interview that you gave the guys the other day, and your story is kind of similar to Flemming's in the sense that you didn't quit football, but you just felt that the playing side of things wasn't for you, so coaching was your next path.
Yeah, well, when I got to 19, I mean, I don't mind, no problem giving away my age at 48, but in the early 80s, obviously before that in the 70s, towards the 90s, there was no under 21 squads, under 23 squads, there was no development squads, there was no feeder clubs, there was only one substitute in League One and League Two where I was. And it was very much a guillotine operation still in terms of you had to be good enough for somebody's first team at the end of your apprenticeship. Now, in truth, I felt a little bit aggrieved at the time, but after a 30-year coaching experience and journey that I've been on since, I look back, I wouldn't have kept me on at 19. I got that first professional contract, but the second one, which allows you, to progress, like I say, you've got to basically go into the first team of where I was at the time, which was Wigan Athletic, or you've got to at least be on the bench, and it was difficult under budget for a late developer for them to extend my contract. And what I decided to do was I had opportunities to go on trial, try and prove myself. And I did really consider that. But I also then had a job opportunity to work at Manchester City as a young coach with schoolboys, a little bit of community work. And it allowed me to play part-time in the conference, as it was, the 5th tier of English football. And there's a little bit of a misconception about me that I got injured and retired. I actually got all my injuries past that in non-league semi-professional football. I had 13 football operations, but the reason I didn't continue at 19 in the league is because I didn't get that contract to take me into my 20s. So, I don't have a hang up about that. I've managed to get into coaching a head start of pretty much ahead of a hell of a lot of people, and it's given me a fantastic football experience. Not the one that I grew up wanting, but one that more so to the one that I wanted to evolve and get better at. And in the end, true story is I probably got better at the coaching than playing.
Flemming, I'm sure you can relate to Steve's story in the sense that, you started coaching young. This is a question for both of you, really. Do you think that youngsters these days should really start their coaching badges once they're in an academy, so at least they've got something to fall back on when their career eventually ends? Because it's a short career, isn't it, if you think about it?
Yes, for many years I've said that as a player, when you start your professional career, you should be obliged to take a coaching license at the same time, because as a young professional player, you still have the time to study the game, and it will help you to be an even better player. So I think when you sign your first full-time professional contract, you should start taking the coaching license too.
Is this something that's kind of drummed down into youngsters in Denmark or in Scandinavia as a whole? Are they encouraged to do this, or is it just more like a Nordsjaelland kind of thing?
No, they're not encouraged to do it, because the players' union they don't want to. So I think we have a challenge there.
That's a fair point. And Steve, if you look at your experiences and other coaches that you've spoken to within the UK, again, do you think this is something that youngsters should be encouraged to do? At least, as I said, give them something to fall back on, because one injury, or they might just fall out of love with the game. They might not want to be professional footballers. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to put that in half, if you don't mind, Stel. I mean, when I was an apprentice, back being 16, it used to be called the prelim, the very first coaching qualification, and now you had to do it. Now, I don't believe too many 16, 17-year-olds take it serious, as they should. They tend to redo it when they're about 19 and they've been released. So the amount of young players that do it, fail it, then get released, then get into it and then pass it is absolutely enormous. So I do believe there should be more emphasis on how serious it is to pass it earlier than getting towards the window of being about 19 and 20 years of age. And I also think, and it has happened, but I don't think with a passion, there should be invitations for youth team players to come back of an evening and coach in the School of Excellence and support the staff on the School of Excellence, and almost become coaches and leaders and mentors to young schoolboys. And it just brings out personality, it brings out leadership, and you can bring that back into the game when they go and play the games in their teams. But I think some lads just get it as a teenager or a youth player, and I think they just like the fact that it's on their sideboard. But I don't think they do anything with it until they're basically removed out of the game.
I can say in FC Nordsjaelland, when we teach the players how to play football, we always we also try to educate them as coaches internally. So we give them as good as possible football education.
Yeah, agree. Good.
Well, that's an important thing, but also, I guess, life experience and learning little things here and there. Like I said, life experience is not a case of like spoon feeding them, but little things here and there, like learning to be tidy or learning manners. It's just, I guess a lot of clubs are trying to instill this more often than not, really.
Yeah, I agree. Because, there's so much of an emphasis in football clubs to win football matches, to develop clubs, to develop youth sections, and to develop people. I don't think people in the position feel that they've got enough time. And I think they prioritise what they need to do day to day, week to week, in terms of winning a football match. And I think there is a generation lost of developing people, as well as coaches, as well as footballers. And of course, I can see it. I understand how it works, because everybody wants to win. But I think everything goes towards developing the winning culture of a football club, not necessarily developing people.
What do you think of that, Flemming?
It's about also long-term winning. And as you say, Steve, long-term winning is also developing people. Yeah. And that's why Right to Dream and FC Nordsjaelland, we have also our own character development program. as you probably had read about, because it's about people and have people staying in the game and also after the career, so they can help new generations.
Brilliant. Well, Flemming, there's something I read in an interview given with you, I think maybe last year, where Nordsjaelland aim for players to be mentally and physically ready to be playing at a level of, say, a 27-year-old by the time they're 21. Have I misquoted you? And how, if not, how do you guys go about doing this?
Yeah, it's you're right. So when we start with them in early age, 10, 11, 12 year old, we try to accelerate their education or their learning. So when they are 21, 22, and that's about the time where we normally sell. So they're ready for a club in a Big Five league, and then they, compared to the Superliga, then they should have as much football knowledge and experience as a 21, 28-year-old normal Superliga player. Yes.
All right, so you're basing it on the ability level of your actual domestic league, not say the Dutch league or the Belgian league.
No.
Okay, that sounds fair enough. Excellent. There's another statement you made, I believe, where you say that in training you guys want to reduce the complexity of the game and select certain situations to train. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, we believe to develop good decision makers, you have to decrease all the options in the game from an early age, because the game is so complex. Nowadays, many times you hear the players, it's best when we give them a free play and so on. But when we do this and the game is so complex, then we will have too few repetitions. And so we have a very clear style of play. We work after a playbook where the phases in our game and the main situations are described from our clear principles, and then in the learning plans in the academy, also in the first team, the coaches they work with these game situations. That is, of course, where we have reduced the complexity, and then it's proven that they can handle the complex game when they get abroad, like Mikkel Damsgaard, 20 years old, playing in Sampdoria, go directly into the team, and Kudus in Ajax now, the latest two 20-year-olds that we sold.
So this playbook that you mentioned, I take it this is like a Bible, so to speak, that the club looks at, and this is the actual blueprint how you guys move forward, much similar to, say, Ajax's model or even Barcelona's model at La Masia. Is that correct?
Yes, something like that. Yes.
Okay. And in terms of the way that you guys came up with this process, was it a short-term or a long-term thing? Because I know you've been at the club since, what, 2006? So is this something that was developed when you first started there, or has it kind of evolved since you got your role at the club?
Yeah, it has been evolved. It's very, very important when you have a style of play, you keep the principles, but the game has to be developed all the time. But our style of play is pretty complex, and it's an analysis of all games in Champions League and top teams in the Big Five leagues, and say what are they doing, and then we try to look 5 years ahead and guess how the game will develop, because the way we train our academy players, let's look when we have these 10, 12-year-olds, the game will be different in 8 years. So we cannot we have to train them and develop them for the future game.
So obviously no one can foresee the future, which is glaringly obvious, but do you guys take into consideration the possibility of rule changes? Because I'm 40 now. I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I remember when I was younger, the back pass rule didn't exist. Goalkeepers could pick up the ball when it was passed back to them. They didn't have to hold the ball for more than 7 seconds. They could hold it for as long as they wanted to. And obviously you got the constant change in the offside rules and VAR, etc. So how can you figure out these things? How do you do it? It's bizarre for me anyway.
Yeah, but it's not so much about rules. Of course, you can say, okay, maybe the throw-in rule will change. Maybe the goalkeeper is allowed to have the ball in his hands for 6 seconds, and maybe they put seconds on the throw-ins and so on. But it's try to you analyze the game, the Champions League games, and then from there you can see, for example, if you want to score goals, or goals are being scored closer and closer to the goal, with less finishing.
So you said there's more focus on attacking as opposed to defending. Is that correct?
No. Also focus on defending.
Okay.
Developing better game readers. Defend with the purpose to win the ball. So, for example, we never speak about defending the goal. We speak about defending the box. When the opponent they have breakthroughs, then the purpose is not to defend the goal. The purpose is to win the ball back in as good a positions as possible, so we can score. When we have a defensive corner against us, our positions, we think, what can we get out of this defensive corner? How can we score? How can we win the ball and score? So a very, very offensive mindset in that sense.
Okay, excellent. Steve, have you ever heard of such a system or such a playbook, so to speak? Is there anything that you've seen in your past?
No, not at all. I don't second guess how the game will evolve. I'm fully aware of families that are concerned about dementia, which is bringing the game into examination of whether heading should be, could be tailored within the game. I don't think it should be extinct, but there'd be, I think one day you could possibly even see under-head eye. I think everybody wants to see the game faster. Like you say, we've already seen the 6-second rule for goalkeepers, as our guest said tonight. But I wonder and possibly worry, will there be a day where we have roll-on, roll-off subs, which keeps the intensity of the game really fast, and the fast will just get faster, and it'll lose the control and the technique and the skill and the calmness that is required in a 95-minute football match. I'm not suggesting this will definitely happen, but when I try and second guess the future, everything just seems to be going quicker and harder and faster to try and get more, exciting. You look at snooker, people do one-frame competitions these days where you've got about 10 seconds between you have each shot just to thrill the crowd. Whilst it is a spectator sport, loved all over the world, I hope it doesn't go too far out of sync where it spoils it by becoming too fast for quality. I'm quite happy with how the game is as it is. The referees get a lot of criticism. We're trying to get it right with VAR. They still get criticism. VAR gets stick. We know there's going to be evolvements to the game. It's never going to stand still, but I just hope it doesn't speed up out of control still.
Would you agree with that, Flemming?
Yes. What we are most focused on is, of course, how to develop players for the future, and the future players, apart from the physical part, they will be very athletic, everyone. Then they also need to have big tactical skills, and be very you can say dynamic or mobile, So you see nowadays fullbacks also play as central midfielders. So we need to develop them so they can rotate, shift of positions. So a little like ice hockey, a lot of rotations. So still, of course, we will have some players who is specialized for one task, but most players they can play all over the pitch, inclusive the goalkeeper.
Who would you say is your most versatile player at the club? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but in terms of versatility at Nordsjaelland, who would you say is the player that's ready for that all-round performance?
We have Mohamed Diomande now. He's just 19, and also one of on the list of UEFA's 50 players to look for in 21.
Oh wow!
Because he can play all over the pitch. A left-footed player, and the opponents. It's only up to me to give him the freedom to do it, and the more he develop, the more freedom he will have. But he play offensive midfielder, right midfielder, left midfielder, left wing back. And he can also play fullback and in both sides. So it's fantastic to have a player like this.
Absolutely. And Steve, given Pep Guardiola's vision of Manchester City and the way that he makes fullbacks play more central, and he likes to play false nines and plays in all sorts of positions, I guess he might have one eye on Nordsjaelland. I guess maybe City scouts will have one eye on Nordsjaelland, given the way that they develop players.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing largely Stel, but part knowledge from my time spent at the club, I can't imagine there isn't anybody that would be suited to a Manchester City team that would be identified across the world by Manchester City's recruitment staff that isn't already identified. And if he hasn't been already, he will be. I think they've got huge staff. I think they've got amazing contacts. I think they've got the work ethic and they've got the finance to travel. So anybody playing football anywhere that could suit the Manchester City model, whether that be via a feeder club initially, or to come into the club to sell for profit, or obviously to come in to progress and develop in the club, I think Manchester City will probably know about every player in the world.
There you go. Flemming's nodding his head. He's probably had a few conversations with Man City representatives, but we won't talk about that now. Confidentiality and all that. Or Flemming, correct me if I'm wrong, but you spent some time at Mainz in Germany, who I believe Jurgen Klopp was coach before Dortmund, and also Brentford, which isn't too far from. Okay, well, it's about half an hour drive from where I live, but yeah, nice club, and it's got a link with Midtjylland, I believe.
Yes, definitely. Matthew Benham, he's the owner of both clubs, and Rasmus Ankersen, in the sports director in Brentford, is the chairman of FC Midtjylland.
So how did that work out for you at Brentford, given your links with Midtjylland, with Nordsjaelland?
It happened just after Mainz, where we the coaching staff we were sacked after less than 1 year, and then I went to Brentford as head of football philosophy because they needed a more clear style of play, and I should help implement this. But it didn't went out well. We had big challenges in the coaching staff group with the new head coach and assistant coach from Holland at that time. A set piece coach from Italy, and me coming into and several others new in the coaching staff. So we had big challenges in our way of cooperate. So that was a big that was good, tough learning.
I can imagine it. And to be fair, the club narrowly missed out on promotion last season. I think they're third in the table at the moment, and they won 7-2 today. and they've got the new stadium, so it looks like they're on the rise. But you know, when you come from the Championship, and Steve will know, when you come from the Championship into the Premier League, it's a completely different animal. You know, you play less games, but the intensity, the physicality, the demands, everything is just magnified tenfold.
Yeah, but let's hope, or at least I hope Brentford can get into the Premier League. We have two former FC Nordsjaelland players in the team right now, Mathias Jensen and Emiliano Marcondes, and the two coaches are Thomas Frank and Brian Riemer, assistant manager, are good friends of mine, and of course still friends with Rasmus Ankersen. So and a lot of good people in the club too. So I really hope that they can also the way that they are doing things, because they stuck to the plan, and we can see when you are consistent, stick to your strategy, no matter if it goes up and down with results. We have to remember, I think in the first 10 games, Thomas Frank didn't win, but suddenly it loosened up. So I think Brentford is a brilliant example that to have a strategy and stick to the strategy, then with time the results will come. And that's when I'm talking about long-term winning.
Brilliant. Steve, what do you make of Brentford so far? They've been pretty impressive, haven't they?
They're brilliant. I think they've been brilliant for 5 years or more. They kind of like shut down the Griffin Park farewell of it to turn it into a celebration, to let's, you know, get leaving this football stadium before we move to our new one with a little bit of style. They obviously went to the playoffs and were 2 football matches basically of getting into the Premier League. They have ball carriers, they have youth, they have development players, they have a B team, they clearly have a coach as a manager, they have a plan and a method. But what they have done, taking the football away from the field, Stel, is now they've got a business model which should set them up for many, many years, whether it be Watkins, who's gone to Aston Villa, they replace him with Ivan Toney. They seem to sign the best players underneath their level who are at the right age, who are at potential rather than peak. And they then go into their system, improve, and they become great assets for their team on the pitch. And eventually they will either retain and stay and keep doing well for that club, or they can, you know, command huge transfer fees. So they've got so many things right. New stadium, forward-thinking coach, bright young team. I don't think anybody really over the age of 30, and they've got sellable assets from between 5 and 30 million in their team to each player. So they've clearly got something going right there.
It's an incredible model as well, and it's not failing them. Even when they sell their best players, they still manage to unearth some gems. You know, as you mentioned, Watkins and Ben Ramos, who recently went to West Ham, and he was a phenomenal player for him last season. So, well, fingers crossed for him, because I like him. I like their style of play, and you know, fortunately, I know Marcus Gale, who's club legend there. So, you know, God be happy for Gailey. There you go. Flemming, let's talk about Right to Dream. It's quite impressive, because I know Tom Vernon used to be a scout at Manchester United, and he's built the model for a successful, sustainable program for African youth players in Ghana. What can you tell us about this project in general? Because we see so many different stories about it, and it's I wouldn't say it's vague or it's a grey area, because we know the facts. I mean, they've unearthed 20 international African players, which is phenomenal, Ghanaian players. But tell us more about it, because I understand there's a possible scholarship scheme with United States colleges, etc., etc. Is that correct?
Yes. So when you come into the program, every year 25,000 children are being scouted and being given a cognitive test. So it's a huge network of scouts working in Africa, or primarily West Africa, and 25 are selected every year, both girls and boys. and in the Right to Dream Academy, there's around 80, 90 children. So and some they all play football, but for some it's already decided that they will be professional students and go to US or UK. So we're also working with universities in UK, and then half of them will study, and half will be professional football players.
I find it absolutely incredible how this thing works. And Steve, I think you coached in Ghana with the charity. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was almost a handshake agreement that I was part of for Manchester City. There was a little party of us went over. There was some shirt and tie members of the club, some hierarchy, and I went over to coach the Right to Dream project. I think I was there for 8 days. Very, very humbling. I was unsure. I was open-minded. It was in the summer. I was looking forward to 4 or 5 weeks off with the family. But I got given this opportunity to go, and I said yes, despite me being in two minds of just giving up my summer break to do that. But the moment that I landed, I recognized that it was one of the best things I had done and will ever do in my life. Seeing the surroundings, seeing the setup, seeing the lack of privilege, and to obviously deliver the football Manchester City way, if you like, and my methods and our methods, and to be received so fantastically by young boys who are basically playing in bare feet, no kit, no goalposts. I learned later that that's why they have so many talented footballers, but not necessarily that many great goalkeepers, because they don't actually have goalposts. It was something we take for granted in this country. And then obviously eating with them, which was minimal, drinking with them, which was basically water, and staying on site with them and just learning their way for 8 days of my life was no hardship. It certainly made me realize what I had here at home when I got back to the family, and my football love was extended to another culture and another set of young footballers who were basically just trying to find their way through life via football in Ghana, and I was delighted to put my name to it.
I find it incredible how, as Flemming said, they scout 25. They look at 25,000 players a year. How big is this scouting network? My goodness.
Yeah, but
yeah. No, Flemming. Yeah, over to you. I'm listening. I'm ready. I'm eager to listen.
Yes, sorry, but it's a group of scouts is traveling around in West Africa and arranging tournaments. So in one day they look at a lot of children.
It's incredible, Steve. Have you ever heard anything like that before in your life? 25,000.
No, and obviously, I don't know where they all end up. The ones who are progressive. I'm waiting to see if somebody, gets into the Manchester City first team via the Right to Dream project and progresses into the Premier League. So I know that Manchester City have financed such a privilege, and I know they play all over, certainly Scandinavia in their early starts, but then you tend to lose track of quite a few of them. So don't actually know who are successes of this, but it certainly gives unbelievable opportunity like never known before.
Flemming, is it true that they sign up at 10 years old and they get on a 6-year scholarship, a minimum 6-year scholarship?
Yes. Yes, with everything paid, and so no deselection, unless they want to leave themselves, of course.
And is this scholarship done in Denmark or back home in Ghana, or is that?
No, it's in Ghana.
It's in Ghana. Okay,
yeah.
Okay. And the scholarship, I take it, is with teachers brought over from the club.
But there's a full resident. So with with pitches and so on. It's the best facilities in Ghana. And a fantastic school. So
it's basically like a huge complex, just
yes,
like you would as a normal university.
Exactly. And now with the Mansour group, the new owners coming in, of course, then we will build in Ghana too, and make it even better, having even better facilities.
Well, you've opened a nice little segue there, because I was going to ask you the next question about the Mansour group. $120 million investment in the club. So many plans to create extra clubs in Nordsjaelland. I know that there's a project set in stone for Egypt, and to have a women's team in Egypt as well, which is quite impressive given their stance on women's football and women's rights in that part of the world. But yeah, I think that's excellent. So what did you make of the news when you first heard it?
Yeah, I was not surprised, because I have been involved for the last year in the process. I knew it was a matter of time before it was official, but it was also important to find, you can say, a partner with the same values, because it's about changing lives. So we are using football to change lives. So that's Tom Vernon's vision, and with new owners, it will be the same vision. So and that's why it's so important to establish a professional women's team in Egypt and fight for equality. All in all, we are fighting for a better world.
Fantastic. And just a quick one, based on the players that haven't made it, have gone on to do their own things, do you know of any stories whereas some have become barristers or doctors or anything like that? Do you know, have you kept in touch with any of those former players?
No, because that was I think that's a question for Tom, because of course he knows all the former.
I'll see if I can get him on LinkedIn.
Yes, but of course the ambition is to develop a Ghanaian president.
Brilliant. And Steve, do you know if Sheikh Mansour is doing anything Manchester City? Because I know they built a few. Haven't they built a university or a college near the ground? Is that right?
I'm not sure. I think Gary Neville's possibly trying to do the same under the Class of '92 group as an extension to his business plan as well. So you just see worldwide opportunities based in Manchester, where I'm from. Opening its arms and obviously shaking hands with friendship and respect to give opportunity for footballers and for people from all over the world to connect and basically become as one. Big thing about diversity, and obviously I think things are getting younger because everything's starting younger. You've got footballers now playing as 3 and 4 year olds at little classes that was never heard of, when we were trying to play the game. And of course, like I say, with the extension of the wealth of Manchester City, in particular, Sheikh Mansour, and like I just said, I think Gary Neville locally, I think it's offering opportunities for people from all over the world to come to Manchester and be connected to possibly Salford City, Manchester United, and of course Manchester City. So this is great because we're obviously providing, for people in the UK, we're providing for our own community, which is vital. It's something that we're very proud of. But once you kind of like get a feel of the operation, you see the wealth and the expertise, it starts spreading worldwide, the message, the name, the brand, and the opportunity.
Flemming, have you had any criticism or people saying, well, it's not fair that you've got so much financial investment? Because we hear it all the time in the UK. When Chelsea got taken over by Abramovich, it was, it's Russian money. When City got taken over, it's Arab money. Now you've got this big guy coming in with the money, throwing it at the club. Have you got any critics in the media or around Denmark?
Yes, because media and that's okay. Media will always try to find something because our brand is very much on values and everyone is equal, and so media try to find something where, what can I say, that where the Mansour group doesn't fit in.
Try and
And
sensationalize it. Try to find some dirt on them, as they say.
yes, exactly. But nothing, nothing really has come up until now, and I also have full trust because I know Tom very well, and he would not invite anyone in who hasn't the same values, and so I'm 100% sure that it's very, very good people.
Do you think the media would put more pressure on if you guys were challenging for the title this season? Because I know Midtjylland are top with Brøndby, and you guys, I think, are 6th, if I'm not mistaken, 6th or 7th.
7, 8.
Yeah. So if you were 2nd or 3rd challenging for the title, going for that top spot, do you think that's when the media would really start putting the pressure on?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I've just got my British journalist hat on at the moment because I think that's what they would do out here. You know, if Manchester City were mid-table, I don't think people would be saying, "Oh, well, they've got all the money and they're spending on this and that player," because they wouldn't be challenging. But when teams are at the top, it's almost as if and to be honest, it happens in every country. The teams are at the top, the media want to knock them down because they're the most popular team, and that's just how it works, really, unfortunately.
So probably, but we just stick to the plan, and as you have probably read also in English media, then in the near future we are coming to England too.
That's right. And you have a former Chelsea player on your coaching staff, haven't you, Michael Essien?
Yes, that's right, and a former Arsenal player in the team.
That's right. How are they finding it at the moment?
Of course, it's a little difficult. Michael Essien, he has not been home because he has not been able to travel at Christmas time. He was here because he could not get back to London.
Mm-hmm.
But they, it seems they are enjoying themselves a lot, and find this purpose. And I can see it in the eyes of Michael that every day his eyes, they are just shining, because he knows how important his instructions, his small guiding to the players are, and he can see the potential in the players and the potential in the project, that we are doing it not just to win games or be a bigger club, but we are doing it for the people in the club.
Steve, how vital do you think it will be for Nordsjaelland, knowing that you got someone of Michael Essien's stature there, who's won practically everything there is to win in UK club competition? Yeah. How would it benefit the youngsters?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think any football organisation, if you could have an emblem, Stel, somebody who's had success, somebody who's had profile, somebody who's had image, and somebody who's obviously had success. I think it's important that, you know, all the pieces of the pie, if you like, you know, you've got your grafters, your real workers, you've got your developers, you've got your nice people, you've got your money man, you need some finance for support, you've got your football brains, you've got your business acumen. But if you can obviously, you know, in a position where you can pick and choose how you choose a staff or a family tree, a football family tree, at the top of it has got to be a football emblem, somebody that's had success, somebody that's had, you know, heritage within your club, somebody that represents you and your culture, and somebody that's probably been through the whole process. And there's very little that Michael Essien hasn't done in the game. So those type of people, this is why I've never got a hang up Frank Lampard, Michael Arteta, these guys who get huge opportunity early in their life without the massive long coaching journey. Arteta was alongside Guardiola, Lampard was at Derby, but they've both gone and worked for clubs where they were great players. I think it's really important that there is an emblem around organisations. Now, don't get me wrong, that emblem, once it's in place, mustn't be lazy, must still do the work hours that everybody else does. But if anybody gets catapulted because they've had a playing career, providing they back that up with hard work, I'm all for it.
Fantastic. Well, Flemming, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. And, you and I have a mutual friend in Ernest Asante, who's at my team Omonia in Cyprus. And, he tells me if it wasn't for Nordsjaelland, he wouldn't be where he is right now. And he's had a career in the Middle East. He's now happy in Cyprus. I met with him in October and he loves the place. So, yeah, I guess I've got to thank Nordsjaelland as well for helping Omonia have such a fantastic forward.
So and please say hello to Ernest when you see him.
I will do 100%. In fact, I think he's going to watch this interview. To be honest, once I've uploaded it, I'm going to send him the link and he can watch it in full. And hi Ernest. Well, Flemming, before I let you go, my friend, is there anything else that you would like to discuss or promote, any social media, or even just tell us a little bit about Nordsjaelland in a few weeks' time? There's anything in the pipeline that we can look out for? Anything that we can,
No, not really. And I cannot tell anything about the transfer window, because for us, the transfer window is open the whole season, because we primarily promote own academy players. So the only thing I would say that people or the football world still doesn't really know us and how many players we develop. But I think in the next couple of years, the football world will know. And please come when the world is opening up again. Then please come by yourself and see what we are doing. We have many coaches from especially Bundesliga clubs. We have had several coaches visiting us. Palmeiras from Brazil, they came with their board.
Oh, wow, they're in the Copa Libertadores final, aren't they? They're playing Santos, so yeah.
Yes, and a couple of English clubs also have because their scouts are telling a little of what we are doing and how we develop players.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for the offer. I'll definitely take you up on that when we're allowed to leave our homes, let alone leave the country. Fantastic. Well, Steve, thank you ever so much for your input, mate. Really, really appreciate it. And
thank you for having me, mate.
Absolute pleasure. Right, that's it for another episode of Shoot the Defence. We're on Twitter at Shoot the Defence and on Instagram. So until next time, take care.